Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
But there have been really two huge game changers. And one is Putin's behavior vis-a-vis first Crimea and then now towards Ukraine, and a completely different kind of behavior by Russia. And the other is what is happening in the Middle East, a lot of it due to the Arab awakening and also the artificiality of the borders that were established after World War I. So these are huge game changers, and we are, a lot of Americans, trying to figure out where the countries are. Most Americans knew very little about Islam. They certainly didn't know a difference between Shia and Sunni. So there are an awful lot of things going on that need understanding and explanation. But to put it mildly, the world is a mess.
Yeah, there it is again. I thought it was worth hearing again because for Madeleine Albright to say the world is a mess, but of course it's the Arab awakening that she blames it on. It's the World War I borders that were established for some of these countries, and it has nothing to do with our current policies, nothing to do with leading from behind, nothing to do with this administration. No, not at all. It's all about whatever, and it's just the world. For her to say the world is a mess, and she didn't even touch on a quarter of the problems. A quarter of the problems. Look at everywhere in the Middle East. Where is the Middle East stable? Where is the Middle East stable? Iran, they're the bad guys. We treat them like the good guys. Israel, they're the good guys. We treat them like the bad guys. Hamas, they have legitimate concerns, and they're a terrorist group. Libya, we had to abandon Libya over the weekend. Did you hear? We made such a mess of Libya, we had to get Gaddafi out. Egypt, thank God that Morsi's out of there after we threw Mubarak out of there. Iraq, we abandoned Iraq. Now you got a caliphate and you got ISIS. Syria, yeah, we showed Assad, didn't we? He just won another term. I mean, what? Did I mention Putin? And all I keep hearing is, oh, it's not going to matter, foreign policy. Nobody cares about foreign policy, when it comes to presidential elections. You just wait this time around. You just wait. If the right Republican candidate can present the right argument, it's going to matter big time, especially if Hillary, who's claiming she was such a great success for 4 years, she got so many things accomplished. So I guess she's blaming it all on Kerry. Anyway, Paul Ryan was on Meet the Press, and David Gregory did his best to belittle him. Watch.
Let's talk about your own attitudes about people who are poor and their views on government. You were on this program in January of last year, and you said the following.
We don't want a dependency culture. Our concern in this country is with the idea that more and more able-bodied people are becoming dependent upon the government than upon themselves or their livelihoods.
It doesn't sound like there's a lot of sympathy for people you think need the government's help. What you seem to be saying is that, people have a problem, with their own dependency here that government is only furthering.
Oh, boy. Yeah, you don't have a lot of sympathy for people who need the government's help. How dare you? Who are you? What are you doing here? Do we have time? No, we don't have time. Okay. But Paul Ryan was able to handle himself quite well. Thank you very much. I guess David Gregory's trying to go out with a bang. So maybe, Al Jazeera will be on the horizon or something. Rumor has it that he'll be out. Now, I got to tell you, between Chuck Todd and Joe Scarborough, who do I think would be better suited to host Meet the Press? Scarborough. I mean, and not because I don't consider Scarborough conservative, so it's not really about that. I think Chuck Todd just isn't good. And, he'll take everything, all of his cues from the White House, in my view. What can I tell you? We'll be back with the digital editor of the Washington Times and more of the Steve Malzberg Show. But first, this hour's American Moment, and we take a look back at the history of flight.
Fly 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic.
Here she is, safe and sound, having just completed the first flight by a woman across the Atlantic.
why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? We choose to go to the moon.
And I will ride into the fire.
It's one small step for man,
Rise above the flames.
one giant leap for
I
man.
will climb like a phoenix and rise.
The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger slipped the surly bonds of Earth to touch the face of God.
Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We've only just begun. We're still pioneers.